countdown, and now we are recording. You may see me using, yes, Sue? Yep, we're good. Thanks. Excuse me. Anyway, you may see me as the semester goes on wearing a headset, depending on how good. We're testing it here today to see how well the internal microphone in this computer works, to see if the recordings are good. If not, I may end up having to wear a headset just to make sure the recordings are clear. But if we go to WITC's website, it's just witc.edu. There's actually a direct link to Blackboard here, which is okay to use that. That'll take you directly to the Blackboard login. I'm going to use My Campus. As students, all of you will be assigned a WITC email address. Hopefully you guys have received that. The reason I bring that up is because the Blackboard system will automatically send emails to your WITC email address whenever I post an announcement or anything like that. So if you go to My Campus, you can see this is your link to your WITC email, and then this is your link to Blackboard. And of course, you guys probably only have 1 or 2 classes, depending on what you're doing. And if you click, it'll take you in. This is the announcements. So this announcement here will be up throughout the whole course, but there may be other announcements that appear above it if I post a temporary announcement for a certain day. Like I'll probably post one after class today for Medford so that they know what's going on. If you click on My Grades, it'll take you to a list of assignments. This class is what we consider a high stakes class, which means it's part of our nursing, our associate degree nursing program, and our paramedic program and medical assistant program. Those are all medical related fields, so they're pretty high level programs. So what we do with this class is your grade is actually totally based on 5 test scores. There are 5 unit tests throughout the semester, and that is your grade is on the average of those tests. Now, to take some of the pressure off, after you take a test and it's graded, you do have the opportunity to redo the questions you got wrong and turn it back in. So let's say you had an 80% on a test. You redo all the ones you got wrong and turn them back in, that puts you at a 90%. So that hopefully takes some of the pressure off of being graded solely on tests. I try to do my best to go over a review for the test to make sure that there's no surprises on there anyway. Excuse me. Also, when you do those corrections, you are allowed to work with each other for the corrections. You're allowed to work with other teachers. Or if need be, if there's something that people are stuck on, we'll take class time to go over those questions that you have wrong on the test as well. So it's guaranteed definitely that you're going to get those questions right, that you're going to get your half points back for those corrections as long as you put in the effort. Where most of the stuff for the course is under the course information button. You click on that. First thing you see is my contact information. I'm Todd Hoff. Easiest way to get a hold of me. My mouse is going nuts. There we go. Is to email me. I have email right in my classroom here, so I check my email 2 or 3 times a day, if not more. So I'll get that email rather quickly. You can't get to a computer, which I'm not sure why you wouldn't be able to, but you can call that number and that extension to leave me a voicemail as well. Other information that's on here, the syllabus we'll go over in a little bit. My schedule, we'll go over that in a little bit. And then course videos. Right now, of course, you see there's nothing down there. Let me show you what that is going to look like. We'll go to another class here that met earlier this morning. So when I go to that class, you can see they got the same 3 buttons, course information. They've got syllabus, schedule, and all that stuff. Then you can see down here, January 21st, that's the video of me going over the syllabus, and then that's some introductory material for them. So for you guys, that same stuff will appear down at the bottom. This recording will appear down at the bottom. They're labeled January 21st. My schedule isn't necessarily too important for you guys. I am free before this class every day that I teach it. So if there's anything that you guys need, if you send me an email, I can generally log in early. And you guys, if now that you are familiar with the technology, as we go through the semester, you guys will get good at logging into the network so that you can log in early if you need to get any assistance as well. Otherwise, we can always stay on late. I usually have, on Fridays, I have nothing after this class, so I can stay on the network late as well if we need any assistance. So we got to look at the syllabus. We'll make this quick and painless, I promise. So this is my contact information again. You're all here, so you know when and where we meet. This class is scheduled Monday, Wednesday, Friday. This is a 32-hour course for the semester. That got thick. So right now we are scheduled 3 hours a week. Times 16 weeks, that comes out to be 48 hours. We've done that on purpose. Excuse me. First of all, for the high schools, we like to get in 36 to 38 hours of class time anyway, just because there's some, we like to give you a little bit more time to work on some things. But one of the reasons we have it scheduled for 48 hours when we only need 32, vacations tend to stagger. Spring break is always a big one. So I was looking this up earlier today. I believe I have it right. Both Medford and Washington Island, your spring break lines up with WITC's. So that ends up not being a problem. Mauston, you guys have a spring break that's a week later than ours. So we'll end up losing a couple of days because of that. What'll probably happen is we'll probably have class 1 or 2 days during that week that Mauston, that you guys are out. And I'll probably take one of those days off. Other things that come up during the semester are, it looks like Mauston, looks like you guys have a couple of Fridays that are professional development. So rather than have you guys miss more time, we'll probably take those Fridays as non-class days as well. So that extra hour a week gives us that flexibility to coordinate schedules and make sure we still get in our minimum of 32 hours, usually 36 to 40 hours that we'll get in for the semester. With that brought up, since we brought up scheduling, how many of you are juniors, if you give me a show of hands? Any juniors in here? Okay, so you're probably going to be on February 20th, probably going to be doing the ACT test? Yes? Okay. So we'll look, once we get closer to that date, once we have Medford in here, we'll see how many students in Medford and total for the 3 sections, how many students are affected by that, and we'll decide, if we're going to do a class that day, or if we're going to not have class, or if we're going to do something that's like an extra enrichment activity that day, depending on how many students are going to be gone for that. So as we go through, we'll work on that. Your assignment for Wednesday not a big thing, is just to send me a copy of your school calendar for the semester. I've looked them up online, but a lot of times those online calendars are incomplete. If there's days that are not marked on the calendar that any of you know that you have to be gone, I know forensics often has competitions in the spring. If there's things like that you might be gone for, please let me know, so that if there's a bunch of you gone on a particular day, we'll try to accommodate you with our class schedule. Okay, so back to our syllabus. So So the course description of this is our Math for Health Professionals. We have a combination of basic skills and then medical specific calculations, measurement. The big thing is the dosage calculation. That's our unit 3, which is, IV drip rates and stuff like that, flow rates. Figuring out dosages from liquid medicines to tablet forms and all that stuff. And then we also go on kind of our bridge between this course and what would be considered the next level of a college course with some graphing and basic statistics. I don't know what any of you plan on doing as far as your schooling after high school, but if you go on to a 4-year medical related degree, you'll most likely be required to take a college algebra class or an intermediate algebra class at the least, and then a statistics course. Almost every medical degree I've ever worked with takes a statistics course. So we'll get you some of the basics to kind of help you prepare for those classes as you go on. By the way, even outside of medical related degrees, what I'm seeing now, the trend is almost all college degrees are requiring a statistics class of some form. Your textbook, I've got a copy here. I don't know how well you can see it, but hopefully you guys all have this one somewhere, or we'll have it soon. It is Math for the Health Sciences, published by Delmar. Joel Helms is our author. It's really kind of a neat little textbook. Very specific to the medical fields, but it doesn't contain a lot of extra information. So we're going to cover most of that textbook this semester. So our course competencies, as you can see, basic calculations, some basic algebra, a lot of fractions and ratios and proportions and percents. Then do a lot with measurement and dosages and more algebra with graphing, and then data analysis with statistics. As I had mentioned, your grade is completely based on the average of the 5 tests. For the tests, as I said, you get to redo the problems and turn them back in. Also, the tests are open book and open notes. So if you're taking good notes, that'll be much to your benefit on the tests. A lot of times, trying to get stuff out of the book is a little more tedious. So it is definitely to your benefit to take good notes. Withdrawals and stuff, we work with your guidance counselors, so you guys don't need to necessarily know withdrawal and drop dates. Hopefully none of you have to. It's a good thing to have on, this is a nice course to have on your resume, so hopefully we can keep you all in here for the semester. Academic integrity, this one, basically don't cheat. You guys know what's right and wrong, and you're only hurting yourself if you don't take advantage of everything the course has to offer. If you have any needs, whether you have a diagnosed disability or maybe the classroom that you're in just is too much background noise for taking tests or whatever, please let me know. We can almost always find some way to make you feel better about what you're doing in the course. And then just the note on podcasts and videos, like I said, we are being recorded. If for any reason you don't want to be recorded, what gets recorded, by the way, is what you see on my computer screen here with sound laid over the top of it. So with my voice over the top of it. If you speak up, there basically is an echo of your voice in the background. You don't really come through clear, but you are on the recording. So if for any reason you don't want to be on the recordings, let me know, and I can always pause it while you ask a question or make a comment, or I can always go back in and edit you out if I need to. And then our 5 basic units. Our basic math, which we will start tomorrow or start on Wednesday. That usually takes about a little over 2 weeks. So our first test generally comes somewhere around the end of our 3rd week. So probably looking at like March 8th, somewhere in there will be our first, or not March, February 8th, somewhere in there will be our first test coming up. Measurement and conversions is a little bit longer unit. That usually takes about 3.5 weeks. Next is dosage calculation. That's our biggest unit, usually about 3.5 to 4 weeks. Graphing, that'll come in about 2.5 weeks, 2.5 to 3 weeks. And statistics fills whatever time we have left. It's a minimum of a 5-hour, 5-day statistic unit. All sorts of information we can add to it if we have extra time. Any questions on our course procedures? Okay. So, we're not going to do a whole lot more today. I just want to make a couple of comments. As I had mentioned earlier, it's very common for people to get a little shy when the camera's on them. But as I mentioned, the class goes a lot smoother if you speak up. It's a lot more fun if you're a part of it, or a lot more interesting if you're a part of it. And I can't adjust to what you need if you don't speak up when you need to. I always describe it like this: it's my job to push through the material. It's your job to slow me down or stop me when you need me to go over stuff. Now, I realize in the first couple of weeks of the class, we're going to be covering stuff that you guys have seen probably 3 or 4 years ago, if not more. Probably don't need to go over again. I will try to get through that material a little bit quicker for you, so we're not bogged down in basic arithmetic for too long. But hopefully there'll be some interesting things that'll help it make more sense as we go through it as well. On Wednesday, I'll do a little presentation about the nature of numbers and some of the number theory behind it that we're going to include in this course that might make it a little bit more interesting to cover that basic material again. A lot of what we've been taught about math isn't, I don't want to say it isn't real, because it is real, but it isn't the full story. There's more to it. We're often taught what to do and not why. Now, with that said, math is a process. And one of the most important parts of that process, of course, is getting to the correct answer. But how we get to it is different for every student. And oftentimes, one very valuable piece of that is eliminating wrong answers. Well, the reason I bring that up is oftentimes people are afraid of speaking in front of the camera because they don't want to be wrong. Well, in math, throwing out an idea, even though it might be wrong, is often just as important as throwing out the right one. I go through it now in this course. I've taught it several times. So yeah, I can look at a problem and I can go down the right path. Outside of this building, outside of education, I work as an engineer. And there are a lot of times I face a problem. And part of that process is to identify a possible strategy and then try it. And oftentimes, the first try doesn't work. Now, some might think of that as a failure, but it's not, because I've learned important information about that problem. I've learned that strategy is not going to work for this problem. It's a different approach required. And then oftentimes in the process of attempting that strategy, I've picked out information from the problem. I've sorted through, some of the things that are given in the problem, and I've organized it a little bit, and that helps me to go back and pick a new strategy. And that new strategy may or may not work. If it works, great. If it doesn't, again, I've learned valuable information about that problem. So in math, one of the biggest things I tell people is it's okay to not be correct on your first try. The important part of not being correct is knowing that that's not right. Being able to look at it and say that can't be the correct answer. I need to go back and try something different. So one of the things we'll talk more about on Wednesday is estimating and common sense in a problem. If we're looking at a dosage calculation problem, and we want to know how many 500 milligram tablets of ibuprofen to give. And we do the calculation and we get that comes out to be 12 tablets. Well, 12 tablets times 500 milligrams, we're doing the math here, that comes out to be 6,000 milligrams. Now, depending on your level of knowledge with painkillers and ibuprofen, that is a liver hurting size dose of ibuprofen. Not going to kill you, but it's not really good for you. So something there has to be wrong. Of course, 12 tablets in its own, no matter what the total dosage, should be a trigger, because from just our personal experience, we know that it's very seldom that you take more than 2 or 3 tablets of any medication to get your required dose. So 12 should be a red flag. Little things like that help us identify those wrong answers when our first attempt doesn't work. Okay, I'm rambling on a little bit, so I'll shut up. Do you guys have any questions about the course? Okay, so if you guys remember where you're sitting so that as we go through the semester, you stay in the same spot for me. I really appreciate that. Otherwise, like I said, the only homework for Wednesday is to email me. And again, my email, I took down my syllabus, so I'll just write it out for you. todd.hoff@witc.edu. Whether you each mail it to me individually, or if you want to get together as a group at your location and email it to me, tell me what days that school is out. In other words, no school. Like all of you, I believe, are off of school on April 19th for Good Friday. So that's one that obviously we won't have class. And then if there's any personal days, like any competitions like forensics or FBLA, things like that, they come up. So again, dates that the whole school will be out of session, and then personal dates for you that you will not be able to attend because of whatever effects. Include with that the ACT testing, if you're going to have to miss for ACT testing. Okay, any questions? It's not very often that I get done early in here. Usually I'm pushing it right to that 12:20, 12:22 mark. How do you guys line up? Are you guys butted up against other? Do we line up fairly well with your high school schedule, or are you like overlapping 2 classes to get in here? Okay. If it's more convenient for you, I have no problem. If your school allows it, I have no problem with you bringing your lunch into the classroom with you so that you don't miss lunch. I know how long of a day it gets if you have to go squeeze in lunch in like 10 minutes or something like that. Are there any other scheduling? Oops, go ahead. Okay, so you might be a minute or 2 late each day? No problem. If there are days that you can sneak out of that one a minute or 2 early, if they'll let you, that's great. Otherwise, during our first couple of minutes, usually I try to take time to answer any questions on homework. Try not to cover anything that's too vital for you so you don't miss out on much. Okay, well, with that, I will let you guys go 10 minutes early today. We will see you all on Wednesday. Guys, have a great day. Thank you. I can actually shut you off from this end. There, you'll be logged out here in just a second.